teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. It's running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Ysn Power Hour for the first show in 2022. I hope you guys had a great break, as well as I know we did. All of us here at the Power Hour took a 2-week hiatus to get recharged and get re-energized for the big year ahead. DJ Yoakley here. D. Ricks, and we got Trey. Trey is we talk about the 2 weeks that we took off. Trey, he got beat up a little bit, not with COVID, but with some other virus that he's battling. So take it easy on Trey today. We're going to try to be gentle with the young gun here on the Power Hour. We have so much to talk about. But first, we're going to change things up in 2022. No longer, for 2 years, we did, what day is it? What's the national day? Okay, well, we had completely exposed that to the point where we were just going over and over. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is Today in Sports History, brought to you by the Ysn Power Hour. Does anybody know what today is? January 3rd. On this day in sports, January 3rd, 1920, the Boston Red Sox Baseball Club announced the agreement to sell slugger Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees for $125,000 in cash and a $350,000 loan. The start of an 84-year curse of the Bambino. All of that, of course, erased in 2004 when the Red Sox won the World Series with Johnny Damon and that cast of characters. But this day in history, in 1920, Babe Ruth was sold from the Red Sox to the Yankees, and the rest, as they say, is history. My question to you, gentlemen, to start the show, what player do you think could make such an impact now that it would last 84 years and set back an entire franchise 84 years, no matter the sport? Donnie, anybody come to mind?
No matter the sport?
No matter the sport.
Oh, man. I don't know, because anymore these superstars jump teams anyways. Man, set somebody back 84 years like the Babe did. I would have to say somebody along the lines of who's a top quarterback, like, you know, other than Tom Brady leaving the Patriots.
You are fine.
You know? So, what'd you say, Trey?
I said they're fine without him too.
I mean, they really are. They really are. But like, That's a tough one, Deej, because I don't think anybody can live up to the hype of the Babe. Honestly, I mean that's the most infamous. January 3rd of 1920 will be the most infamous January 3rd in the history of January 3rds.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to even compare it to. The best one, the Montreal Maroons center, Nell Stewart, scored the fastest 2 goals in NHL history with, they were 4 seconds apart. So that's pretty cool, too.
I mean, that's pretty cool, but nothing like that. I mean, maybe Baker Mayfield getting traded to
Oh, Jesus.
to the dumpster down on East Fifth in Youngstown.
Trey, what about you? Is there anybody that stands out to you?
Not really. Maybe from a fan standpoint, I'll go Shohei. I mean, keeping it within baseball here, I just think that Shohei's impact off the field for the Angels is much bigger than any other player in the league right now in baseball. You see a lot more Angels fans nowadays.
Okay.
Pre or post Shohei than you ever did pre Shohei, even with Mike Trout, who probably is the greatest baseball player since Babe Ruth. But I'll go Shohei just from a fan standpoint because there's nobody from a level of play that'll set a team back like Babe Ruth did for 84 years. So I'll go with Shohei.
If the Bulls would have traded away Jordan, do you think that would have set them back? I mean, they haven't been good really since maybe to this year, but you look at, I guess they were okay during some of those Cavs years. They made it to the playoffs, but like if the Bulls would have traded away Jordan, do you think it would have made the impact that the Red Sox had?
No, but I think okay. So if we want to go modern day, I think the person, if you traded them away, that would impact their team the most would be Giannis. I think you trade him away from the Bucks. The Bucks become back to the middle of the road team. So,
what about like Sid Crosby in hockey? Is he's getting up there in age? He's getting a little long.
He's been out enough to where the Penguins have won without him. With his concussions too. So.
Yeah, and it's tough with the Michael thing because when you saw him gone for those 2 years, didn't the Bulls still make like the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah, that's because they had a guy like by the name Scotty Pippen.
Okay.
Yeah, he was all right.
It's funny. I was just going through some old cards because my father-in-law decided to dig up some cards and bring them over the other day, and I was like, "Oh man, I totally forgot that I have this 1990 to 91 Skybox complete set." And I'm looking, and I just start Googling the priciest 20 of the group, and of course Michael Jordan. That card itself could go for anywhere from between $800 to $1,000 because that's the year before he started going on his championship runs. And naturally, I have it in complete mint condition. So, and then I'm looking. There's Magic Johnson, there's Scottie Pippen, there's Charles Barkley. Like, I'm like, dang, there's like over $2,000 worth of cards I got right in this little box here, and I'm thinking to myself like, all right, maybe I go to a show, maybe I sell it, do whatever. But like his impact, I mean, those guys were good. They were really good when they got Horace Grant. So I don't know. It was a fun era to live in and watch NBA basketball. Let's just say that.
I think that's one of the golden ages of basketball.
Oh, no doubt.
Think about it. The people who I can't watch NBA right now. I got to be honest. I'm that guy. I can't do it. It's not fun. It's just not fun. So
February 6th will be the first time I will watch the Cavs this year, and that's because we have tickets to go to the game. I don't have them on. I have YouTube TV, and that their channel's not on.
Yep.
So I told myself while they're in first place, or not in first place, but while they're on this like tear of a run that they're on, I refuse to turn the game on because I am not going to be that jinx.
Yeah, you're not going to be the spoiler for their season. So one of the things that we have a ton to talk about, ton to catch up on. We're talking college football, high school basketball. We have a ton to catch up on. Unfortunately, today's usually the day we bring out the power rankings. There's technical difficulties on the graphic site that we use, so I know who they are. We can talk about it. Spoiler alert: the East Liverpool Potters are the boys' unanimous number one for the first time ever. They're the unanimous number one in the power rankings. Let's talk about that real quick. East Liverpool, proud tradition in basketball. The padded blue seats, the horse that plays before the game that kids they listen to growing up. They want you to play on YouTube. As I interviewed Coach Conley today, he says he's got 3 little girls that he plays on YouTube, and they come out. They do like the starting warm-up thing, and they do that. Tradition in high school basketball, does it get any better than the area here with East Liverpool? Donnie, I mean, you go back a long way. There's a ton of traditions at a ton of different schools. Talk to me about some of the traditions like the back of your hand.
No, I mean, obviously the traditions at McDonald are second to none to me, but I mean, just all these schools, just the history of like tradition to me is the number one goal. If I'm a high school athlete, I am focused on living up and continuing the tradition, because that's the number one thing. You want your programs to stay consistent and stay good. You have to keep going with the tradition of what the program has given you over the years. And East Liverpool, from what I'm hearing from everybody, is they're playing team basketball. There's no egos. They just put their nose down and just grind every game, and they want to rip your face off every game too, which is nice.
It is a fun brand of basketball to watch, whether you're watching it YSN or whether you're going down to the Potter Fieldhouse. Nick told me they're averaging 6 dunks a game. 6 dunks a game. And that's anybody from around here, you are loving that, because dunks are as exciting as it gets in this area. Trey, from your standpoint, you get to watch a lot of Ursuline basketball. That's exciting basketball as well. But what's the tradition at Ursuline as far as basketball goes? Coach Gunther does such a good job with that program. Why is it so important with basketball at Ursuline?
It's a very buttoned-up style of basketball. Coach Gunther is a very intimidating figure. He's been there for a while. Everybody in the school knows him. So it's a very buttoned-up program, a very on-time, regimented style. Practice. In the mornings they do walkthroughs, sometimes before games on the weekends, and it's a very competitive. Their practices, I do believe that they run 5s at the end of every practice just to keep that competitive edge, so you could play against an opponent, you could see a real defense. Oftentimes they get their JV incorporated a lot with their varsity, so that those JV players that make the jump the next year are ready and see what it's like. So it's a very regimented and buttoned up program. And another basketball team that I want to touch on real quick that Donnie kind of talked about, I got to see McDonald play Ridge a few weeks ago. That's a very tough team that I wouldn't want to play in the playoffs. They can do everything right. They rebound, they're physical, and they have a lot of good shooters. Michael Porter, I saw him shoot 3s from at least 6-7 steps behind the line. I mean, that's a scary team come playoff time.
So let's talk about, just expectations, right? We've talked about it during our broadcast. We've talked about it during this show. There is a generalization that once you pass the New Year mark, now it's time to play influential basketball. Basketball games that matter. Guys, it's the 3rd of January, and guess what? We got a lot of games tonight knocking on the door, and a lot of games that start to matter beginning this evening at 6 o'clock or so. Why is it that the calendar change marks the time to get prepared for some of these programs? Like, the first 11 games don't matter. Donnie?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of these leagues start playing against one another, and they get hot and heavy into that schedule as well. And there is a time now where it's like, you know what, you have to start separating yourselves from everybody, and it's only the strong survive. I mean, look, I have a sophomore sitting in the house right now that's 1-8 right now on the season. You best believe she was hoping for that New Year ball to drop, to have it be a new year, new season for her. So, it's just something that you realize, hey, you're at the back stretch of everything now, and it's essentially go time. You have to get after it and start winning some games.
Trey,
because now you have seeding and everything that starts happening too.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Trey, let's get your take on this. Do you ever, to me it just doesn't make sense, but I get where coaches can break the season up into 2 parts, even 3 parts if you add the playoffs into it. Does it make sense to, okay, maybe the season's not going the way we want it to go, so we can change the narrative a little bit and say, hey, that's behind us. We got 11 games in front of us, or whatever that number may be. We can attack the season now and then have some momentum going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I also think it's big to see like a physical marker on the calendar, for a team to say, hey, all right, we had this half of the season, we had this much of the season to learn from, and now we can see this physical marker on the calendar to kind of reset things and move forward. I think that's a big thing for the mentality of a couple teams, because some teams do have to see that physical mark on the calendar and see the year turn for them to kind of reset things. It's hard to reset things when you're in the same year. It feels like only a few days have separated since your last loss if you're losing a couple straight. So I think this is the time of the year where we see which teams have been able to reset themselves and which teams are going to keep playing to the best of their abilities and keep winning games.
Best wishes to every team plays tonight. So obviously, we have you covered pillar to post on so many games. Want to make sure there's an update, though, for some that are keeping track and keeping tabs at home. Yes, we did 2,200 plus games last year. We're looking to get things started in a big way this year. COVID affects more than just teams. It affects our team too. So, and illnesses, not just COVID, but we had some issues last year with COVID, obviously, as everybody did. We have some illnesses as Trey's bouncing back here for us, and we have some illnesses across the board. So, if your game is not covered, it's not necessarily that we didn't want to cover it. It's that we only have so many bodies to get out there and cover, and sometimes they get sick. And our number one priority is our people's safety and your safety. So we don't want to put them in a bad situation. We certainly don't want to put you in a bad situation. I want everybody to be in a good situation. So if there's something that happens, please don't try to beat us up over it. We're getting to as many games naturally as we can because that's our business. But reality is if we're not there, it's nothing personal. Sometimes somebody just might need some well wishes, and we don't put people's personal affairs out there from that standpoint unless they're on the mend. So just use the noggin a little bit, okay? That's all we're asking. We're not asking for sympathy. We're just asking use your noggin a little bit. We would never not go to a game on purpose, despite anybody. So that's your high school wrap up for today. Because we have so much to talk about, we got to get through a ton of stuff. Donnie, the next thing we got to talk about, the Ohio State Buckeyes, your Ohio State Buckeyes, showing up, showing out offensively in the Rose Bowl. Talk to me about your impressions before I start dissecting this like a surgeon.
Okay, so me normally watching an Ohio State game, I'm the biggest jerk on the planet, screaming at the TV, doing everything else. Ohio State goes down 14-0, and my daughters are looking at me, asking me if I was okay because I hadn't said anything, I haven't done anything. I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I know what we have out on that field." Look, I could have told you, I could have played out the scenario the entire way. I took the over 64.5, by the way. And the reason why is you never bet the Buckeyes themselves in a bowl game. Okay? You bet totals because their offense obviously can do anything and everything they want. But I was so calm during that game, and I enjoyed that game so much. Utah scoring on a kickoff return, scoring on that quarterback 4th and 1. I kept thinking to myself, this is awesome. Everybody was all gung-ho, up in arms about Ohio State's defense. They were down 5 starters. So the expectation of an awful defense as it is with those 5 starters, and then you have 5 fill-ins for them, so they couldn't have been that much better if anything. But they came to play in the second half. They held Utah at 10 points. And man, CJ Stroud, how in the world does that guy finish 4th in the Heisman? I mean, that kid was unbelievable. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, I put his moniker up underneath me today because what that kid did was just special on all levels. You want to talk about you're breaking all-time bowl records, not just the Rose Bowl, but you're breaking all-time bowl records. But to do it in the Rose Bowl, that's just special.
There you go.
So yeah, I was excited. I never wavered once during that. It was so weird. I was so calm during that entire game. They literally were like, "Are you okay? Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're good. We're gonna kill this team." We didn't kill them, but we came back and we dominated them in the second half. Let's just say that.
I have so much I want to say. Let's get to Trey first. Trey, are you an Ohio State fan?
I'm a huge. Remember, I cut that promo on Michigan
a few weeks back. All right, go ahead. How did you feel about the Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl?
you know what? It was good to end the year on a win. It really, really
Yeah.
was. C.J. Stroud was 3 yards away from having the record for any bowl game. He was 3 yards short. Smith and Jigba is a baller. I saw a tweet that I have to talk about. It said, "Word to King James, Ohio State had a elite big three this year," and Brian Hartline, that man deserves a raise because the amount of talent behind those three that we have coming in next year. It's like he said, there is only 6 to 8 other guys with almost the exact same talent level that we're learning from these guys that are up next for next year. It's scary to see the talent. And if I am checking the point total here, I do believe that Ohio State won more bowl games than Michigan this year. So
Here we go.
just keeping count here for all those Michigan fans that came out the woodwork just to get smoked by Georgia. That's what you wanted, and that's the last time you'll ever be in the CFP again.
Let's just pump the brakes here, because that right there encapsulates every Ohio State fan that I saw on social media the entire weekend. You played Utah, okay? Utah, right? Playoffs. You got to be Utah. So one of our lovely colleagues that is typically on this show, I had conversations with during the game, and everybody knows I'm not against Ohio State, but I'm not for Ohio State. I'm not like that guy, because I take enough. Listen, Pittsburgh, right here. I live in Ohio. I get it. I don't understand why people are so butthurt over Pittsburgh fans being from Ohio, because I've got all these friends that ended up going to some other college or university that are Ohio State fans, and that's the one that boggles my mind. Like, you had the opportunity to go to Ohio State, and you're like, "No, man, it's just too expensive," or "I'm good," you know. But you're gonna sit there and act like you're a diehard Ohio State fan. That's my problem number one. That always has been. Problem number two, they played Georgia. They beat you to play Georgia. You played Utah. They did some. I saw it. I just sat back and watched. They jawed and jawed and jawed. But I saw more Ohio State fans just attacking Michigan when Georgia was just beating them up like Ralphie on that kid for Scud Farkas, like just beating them up, right? Plowing Michigan, and then stupid Michigan fans just couldn't wait long enough. They waited that first quarter when Ohio State was down 14-0, and they just started jawing. And I'm like, dude, just wait till the end. And you could talk for a year. It was Utah. That's my biggest thing. I'm happy for Ohio State. They won. I was excited to see Njigba, or whatever his name is. Like, he was electrifying. And without two of their premier receivers, yes, C.J. Stroud, the real deal. But let's face it. Like, if you put a bunch of those dummies out there that they have in practice, they probably had a better chance of making tackles than Utah did. And the same thing with Ohio State, right? It's not like Ohio State was burning down the world on defense. Because anybody else, literally anybody else, and they probably lose that game. They would have lost to Pitt. Argue that.
What's up with the
they would not
disrespect
have lost
to
to
Utah,
Pitt.
man?
They would have lost to Pitt.
Listen, do you know how bad
What?
Wake Forest is? And Pitt and Wake Forest, that was a game for, like, that ACC championship game.
Listen, you're putting up 90 against Rutgers. Don't tell me about how bad Pitt is.
But why are we acting like Utah's a bunch of bums? Like,
They
beat
are.
Oregon
They're bums.
They
They're
beat
bums.
Oregon twice down the stretch. Oregon was a top 4 team for like
They
90%
smoked
of the
Oregon
year.
twice. They smoked them twice.
Yeah, and Oregon
They
was like a top
stink.
4 team for like 90% of the year.
And we act
Do
like
you-
Oregon's in the CFP.
Do you think Pitt
They
beats,
lost to Utah.
Do you think Pitt beats Utah?
Oh, yeah, Pitt beats Utah.
Really?
I think so.
No.
With
I
Kenny
don't think
Pickett?
so.
With
No,
Kenny
but
Pickett,
no,
yeah.
no.
Kenny Pickett. Listen, I'll argue all day that Pitt wins that game against Michigan State with Kenny Pickett. They were in the third quarterback.
Well, you got to also remember Walker was out too for Michigan State.
Sure. But
So if
there's
you
there's a lot of running teams that didn't do much against Pitt this year.
yeah, that's
Utah
true.
would have beat Michigan State,
Utah would have beat Michigan State.
They
and
stink.
Michigan State beat Pitt, which
All right,
means
who's
Utah
DJ?
would
Who's
beat
your
Pitt.
team? Who's your team if you don't like Ohio State?
Westminster.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness
that's
gracious!
a cop-out answer.
I'm just saying.
That's a cop
I
out.
paid good money to get a good education, a great education. I'm not rooting for somebody else.
Almost as good as Bethany's.
I will navigate towards Ohio State and Pitt. But
Okay.
I'm not going to sit there and say, go Buckeyes, go Buckeyes, especially after what they did to Jim Tressel. That's where I cut it off. That's where I was done. And I'll be honest, I don't like Ryan Day.
Man,
What
do
Ryan Day
you think he's cocky?
I think he's arrogant. I think that there's a little bit of truth to what Jim Harbaugh said
About getting the team already on third?
Yep.
Oh.
I
Listen,
think
anybody that takes over an Ohio State program is going to get that luxury.
I'll tell you a team that I'm gravitating towards is Cincinnati right now. Not because they're winning, because I like Luke Fickell.
The Bengals, yeah. You're gravitating towards the Bengals, aren't you? You love Joe Burrow.
I like Joe Burrow. I've got a Joe Burrow LSU jersey.
Listen, that
He
team
owns steak
that
in
team's
Pittsburgh.
young and fun, man.
No, I'm not talking about the Cincinnati Bengals.
I know you're talking about
University of
Bearcats.
Cincinnati.
I know.
How dare you with my Roethlisberger shirt on? I got 2 more weeks of my hero playing football, and that's it. That's it. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But honestly, like, did you feel good? You honestly felt good. Like, was it just the win, or was it the way you won?
I never wavered. I honestly goodness, like I'm normally a flat out maniac during these games. And I kept thinking to myself, all right, the expectations are really nothing. The fan base that normally is 70-30 Ohio State at a Rose Bowl especially was about 80-20 Utah. So I knew the expectations. There was no expectations whatsoever for Ohio State to win the game. The line went from I think like 9 points down to 4 when those 5 guys announced that they weren't playing, and I'm sorry, when the 4 guys announced that they weren't playing, it went from 9 points down to 4 points, and everybody's like, "Oh, Utah, the heavy betting favorite's going to be Utah." Well, it was, because the Ohio State won by 3, so Utah ended up covering. But you got to look at totals in that aspect, and C.J. Stroud had a chip on his shoulder. And I'm telling you right now, and Trey, I think you can attest to this, the mannerisms of C.J. Stroud, the growth of him over the last month, my dude looked like he stood in that pocket and was just picking apart that defense like no other. Like he was like unfazed whatsoever. Yeah. Even when Njibba fumbled that ball going to the end zone, he was unfazed. It was crazy to watch.
You can see the progression in the readings of the routes. I mean, he was like, a lot of times, like you saw this earlier on in the season, he would panic and try and force a route that wasn't there. I mean, this time he really dissected apart that defense. I mean, he was going from his first to second to even third option sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that back shoulder throw to Njigba in the end zone, that was one of the the fact that he had the cojones to even throw that pass.
How about the one that went over top the cornerback to Harrison? Yep. I mean, he was so accurate, DJ, it wasn't even funny. And,
I watched the game. Don't worry. I watched it. Like, it's legit.
There's a reason why Quinn Ewers had to transfer. There's a reason why Quinn Ewers transferred. It's because he was not beating him in a competition
that was
anytime
a business
soon.
Decision. That was a business decision from
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt that he said, I'm going to go to Ohio State, and then I know I'm going to transfer. Because you can't go in and say, I'm going to beat C.J. Stroud. Like, as a 17-year-old, not going to happen, man. He got, 3 snaps?
Yeah.
No passes. This was a business decision for him, and I respect it. I was bummed out, but then you started looking at it from a business standpoint. You go, you know what? He probably makes more money at Ohio State right now, year 1, than he would at Texas.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction too, and I think it's gonna start with Justin Fields, but Justin Fields wasn't originally an Ohio State quarterback. I'm going to make a bold prediction that C.J. Stroud breaks the mold of Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL.
You don't think Haskins is going to make a comeback?
No, your boy's going to lose to Rudolph again.
No, Rudolph will not be our quarterback next year.
Oh, you better hope not.
You better watch it. Pickett is greater than any college QB. That's interesting.
That's so false, though.
That's so false.
That's so false.
I mean, is it, though?
I don't even know if he's top 3.
He finished third in Heisman, correct?
All you have to do is look at ACC defenses. ACC defenses, and believe me, I did a ton of research during this bowl season because of the betting that I did. ACC defenses were awful. Wake Forest, terrible defense. So yeah, you're gonna score on teams like that, but like No,
I take
he's
the
not
kid
the
from
best
Liberty
quarterback.
over him. I take that Malik.
Oh, that dude's a stud. And listen,
Him, Ritter.
yeah,
I mean, these are just guys that are eligible for the draft.
for the draft,
Let
right?
alone who are coming back. I mean, I don't think Pickett's anywhere close to being
Listen,
top
I think Pickett.
3 or 5.
I think Pickett will be a better NFL quarterback than anybody coming out of the draft this year. I will make that argument all day.
Than anybody. Even listen, the kid's
Even Ritter.
the kid from Western Kentucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're gonna go up. Their stock's gonna go up in combine season, right? And Pickett's is gonna go down. And what happens to good quarterbacks that go to good football teams?
Right. They Aaron Rodgers slips.
They're successful.
Roethlisberger ended up getting picked what?
11th.
So
I mean, if Corral didn't break his, on national television,
Oh,
I think that he would have been I thought he was the most talented quarterback in that draft class.
yeah.
Before he
But
got injured.
that doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter, because look what's happening to Sunshine right now. My guy, they made a comment yesterday during the game that lives could have been absolutely flipped. Lawrence could have been with New England, and you could have had Mac Jones with Jacksonville. Think about that.
Right.
And
Don't
now
give up on
Lawrence
it yet,
probably,
though.
he's not going to touch any or sniff anything, but maybe one big game, one big victory a year for the next 4 years. And you got Mac Jones, who's getting ready to go to the playoffs.
I don't know about that. If you get Byron Leftwich in as a head coach, I can see that whole thing turning around. Dude, he had
Shut up.
Urban Meyer. He didn't have a single week of regular functional football without some dysfunction by Urban Meyer. I mean, dude, he was kicking kickers preseason. This
Byron Leftwich?
yeah. He honestly, I think he's the best head coaching candidate outside of maybe Eric Bieniemy in the NFL right now. Byron Leftwich.
Based on what? He's got freaking Tom Brady.
Okay,
Yeah, he
but
looks
even-
good.
even
I wonder
before
why.
Even before that, Winston was throwing hella touchdowns, even though he was throwing picks. He
Yeah.
was throwing touchdowns he was making do with Winston, bro.
Right.
I mean, and Leftwich, it was a quarterback, so he understands.
I don't
I'm
know
telling
about
you,
that
bro.
one. Listen, Byron played for the Steelers for a long time. He was a nice backup. He was never great. He's never going to be great. If he surrounds himself with a bunch of Tom Brady's, yeah, he's going to be good. He's going to look good. But you want to talk about, let's let him get a who was that cat last night? Sean Mannion. Let's let him get a Sean Mannion and see how good of a coach he is.
What? Why Sean Mannion?
Because that's who played the Packers last night.
Okay, but all I'm saying is if you give a quarterback, a real coach with his talent that understands the NFL and understands how to run an offense in the NFL, it'll be much different. And we won't be talking about how Mac Jones is playing better than Trevor Lawrence and all this and all that. He has Belichick, dude.
Oh, he's got a defensive coordinator, so he's a better quarterback.
Oh,
for
he's only the greatest coach of all time. I mean, come on. And by the way, that most recent comment is hilarious.
I haven't seen it. Hang on. Malik Willis not good, dude. Threw 4 picks against no-name teams, and then Trey with the Pitt helmet in the background hating on Pitt and Kenny Pickett. Well played. I didn't even see that. Yeah, look at you.
Listen, it's a signed helmet by forget the head coach, but I
Wants
want it.
that?
Nah, I don't think so. Forget his name.
He must have been good.
Yeah, it's a coach, so I'm an Ohio State fan, man. I
Is
need
it
some more
Narduzzi?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, Pat Narduzzi's a local guy.
Yeah,
Narduzzi's
yeah.
a guy that wants to be on our show.
Yeah,
He was at the all
Who
those those bocce things that who's it Mooney puts on or whatever. All the coaches come in.
He might be watching right now, Trey. So you better apologize.
Oh,
because he's been known to watch this show.
I'm so sorry. Listen, I appreciate the helmet. It looks really cool in my background. Really, really cool.
Lane says underrated quarterback in the draft. Carson Strong from Nevada. Matt Corral didn't show up in the big games. Played awful against Bama. I mean, it's Bama. I've heard a lot about this Carson Strong. I've heard a lot about the kid from North Carolina as well.
Oh,
Sam Howell.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a Heisman candidate or Heisman finalist, and he got snuffed.
But again, I think he's going to have a better career, being that he is going to drop down the draft board. And that's
Just going to a better team.
Yeah.
I just want to know what quarterback Cleveland's drafting next year.
We're going to talk about that in about
Malik Jackson.
2 minutes, because there is a lot to unpack prior to, and we usually don't do this, but it's a very special night here. Not a whole lot to play for except for bragging rights. So guess what? We're going to get the conversation started in 2 minutes and 18 seconds right after this break, brought to you by our great friends and great supporters of YSN.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Oakley with you, Donnie Ricks, and we got Trey Civarella also on board for the, well, I guess it's the inaugural of the 22 boat race, I guess is what we're calling it nowadays, here at YSN. All right, it's time. We got to talk about the game that is on hand tonight. It's a regional matchup. It's one that doesn't have a whole lot on the line for a whole lot of anything, if you really ask true Steeler fans that understand football and not just are delusional. In order for the Steelers to get into the 2022 NFL playoffs, the Jacksonville Jaguars have to beat the Indianapolis Colts, which is not impossible, but it is improbable in many different ways. It's kind of like Avengers Endgame, where there's only one way that they can get in, and Iron Man basically has to steal the stones and become Iron Man, just like that. Spoiler alert, by the way. For the Browns, there's nothing. You guys are eliminated. You're out. My first question to you is this a disappointing season? And what was the most disappointing part of it for you? Donnie, lead it off.
1,000,000% it's a disappointing season because of all the expectation and all the hype coming into the season, between never getting off the ground really literally with Hunt and Chubb together. The whole mishandling of Odell Beckham Jr., which I blame Baker so much for that, because I think Baker was like trying to bring him down a few notches, to Baker's level, because there were so many plays where Odell Beckham Jr. was just wide open and Baker just couldn't make a throw. So I think all the hype on you got two stud Los Angeles Rams coming in before the season, and they were supposed to shore up the back end of the defense, and Jadeveon Clowney coming in, and then all of a sudden COVID hits, and injuries happen and the Browns are just the Browns. I mean, it's just like it's terrible. I think Stefanski was a hell of a play caller last year. I think this year he became timid and tried to do. Sometimes he tried to not do enough. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's hard to put my finger on just one issue because there were so many with them this year. Because like there was not even one game-winning drive this year for the Browns, and normally you got a little bit of the cardiac kids, but this year it never seemed to hit on all cylinders. I mean, starting from game 1 with Kansas City when they were up 9 or 11 points on Kansas City, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you got to put teams away. You got to be a great team to make the next step. You were a good team last year. This year you became below average. You're literally going to be below average this year. So I don't know. It's highly disappointing.
Trey, what's your take on the year for the Cleveland Browns?
It was disappointing. I mean, I'm not a Browns fan, but similarly with Dolphins, I understand the pain. You know, I just don't think Baker's the guy there. I think it's very clear at this point. I think you guys have everything right except for the quarterback position. I mean, you have the best O-line in the league. Your defense is solid. Your running back core is insane, and you have receivers that are competent, which is enough in the NFL nowadays. So I truly feel like if you guys can get a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over as much as Baker and is just a little bit more accurate, you guys are immediately a Super Bowl contender. But until you can get a quarterback at that level, I don't. It's hard to watch the Browns and try and see success in that team without a quarterback. And with the quarterback market being so thin right now, sure, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys are quote unquote out there, but they would still have to get either traded or released by their teams and get out of their contracts. So there's a bunch of unknowns. My personal opinion on what the Browns will do is I think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think it's going to be the kid out of Liberty. And yeah, go from there. I mean, they've seen what Lamar can do to him. Why not try and copy it with the Malik kid?
I'm really interested on multiple levels. Now, naturally, I'm a Steelers fan, but I have interest in the Browns because they're oh boy, here we go. He's here. He's got something to say apparently. Amo shows up. What do you got, Amo?
Oh, dude, disappointment to its finest this year. Oh, going on, you know, I know us Browns fans had high hopes, but also the media gave us playoff aspirations, right? But I just saw a stat today.
Who are you, Antonio Brown, blaming it on the media?
Oh, no, it's us. We lost to 6 teams above us in the playoff race right now. I think that says a lot. It just feels like something's wrong and something's off there. You got Myles Garrett calling out players and coaches before games. You got defensive players calling out coaches. You got OBJ. And I mean, Rams in 2 minutes found out how to use them than we did in 2 years. It seems like Kevin is a coach that likes his system and his scheme and doesn't change for the players. Like, everybody knows OBJ isn't a physical guy like, I don't know, like Michael Thomas or DK Metcalf. He's more of a hit you with speed, and it seemed like Kevin wanted to use him physically, and that's kind of Landry, and even Landry to an extent's not really physical, right? I don't know. Something's off there. I don't know if it's Baker. I'm not putting it all on Baker, but I think him being hurt is big. I mean, AVP on Friday said the shoulder harness is hard for him to throw, and it's tough for him to play. Why are we playing a quarterback then?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't understand. If he's hurt, why are we playing him? Like,
because he's trying to get a big contract. That's why.
I know why Baker's playing, right? I mean, if he sits for a couple of games and Case plays well, game on, right?
Yeah, but Case can't throw the ball down the field.
That's not real, right? That's not real. There's no way.
That'd be awesome.
I swear to you, somebody's told me that Coach Narduzzi has watched this show and has watched YSN.
I love fake people.
I swear it's fake, right?
I love it.
It's gotta be.
Do you want me to text him? I could text him and see if it was really
Text
him.
him and see if he's watching the YSN Power Hour.
That if
What's your
that's
thought on
real,
tonight, DJ?
that's hilarious. I'm so sorry, but that's so funny.
Trey's
real.
heart just dropped.
I was like,
He saw that. So my thing is this: I have so much interest in this game. Ben Roethlisberger has been my guy. He's been my quarterback since the day he was drafted. An Ohio guy playing for my football team. Big, physical. He's always been. I remember watching him get drafted. I remember buying his first, the first jersey that came out. I've got like 18 of them since then, including this one. I'm going to be a mess. My phone is going to be off. I'm going to be an absolute mess. I've watched him hoist Lombardies, and it's the end of an era. My wife got emotional whenever Troy Polamalu and Hines Ward, her favorite players, and Heath Miller, they were off. There's going to be a ton of Steelers greats on hand tonight.
Antonio Brown.
What's that?
Antonio Brown.
He could be there. Listen,
Did you hear what he said today?
What?
He just put out a video saying this isn't Big Ben's last game. He's not going to retire. He's going to go play for someone else.
No, he's not. I can promise. I can't promise you. He's not playing for anybody else unless there's $1 zillion.
Maybe the Browns, right? I'll take them.
Go ahead. I don't think that's the way it'll happen. But
No,
I feel like
no way.
this is the beginning of a new era in Pittsburgh. I think that there's a lot of quarterbacks that can come in and be franchise quarterbacks of a good team, not a rebuilding team. I still think Pittsburgh is a good team, relatively speaking. I think they need a better offensive coordinator, in my opinion. I think Ben Roethlisberger's going to run the show tonight. I think he's going to give the bird to Matt Canada and the flying geese, and he's going to say, "This is my show tonight." And he's going to do the same thing next week against Baltimore, because what are you going to do to him? Pull him? I think that the Baker Mayfield era is over in Cleveland. I think that if I had to play God here, I think that Baker ends up in Minnesota, Kirk Cousins ends up in Cleveland, because that's who Stefanski loves, and they're already shopping Kirk Cousins around. I think they're the same guy. It's just Baker has a little bit more swagger.
I don't think you're far off with that.
I think Pittsburgh ends up with somebody like a Brock Purdy, somebody like that, who can come in and just manage a game, because I think that's what quarterbacks are right now is game managers. There's either playmakers like Lamar Jackson, or there's game managers like Mac Jones, and I think Brock Purdy could be another game manager that has a successful career in Pittsburgh. He's got a nice arm, doesn't exactly have the size. He's more like Drew Brees. I know I've heard the same stuff about Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. I don't think necessarily Pittsburgh needs more drama after they're just getting rid of Big Ben, so Aaron Rodgers probably isn't the answer. Russell Wilson, that's $40 million a year. That at this point he doesn't make you a better team. You need offensive linemen. So that's my take on the Steelers. The Browns, man, I'll tell you what. I feel bad because I really think it's just a boomerang back to the basement, because
Cincinnati's not going anywhere.
Oh, no. They're not. Joe Mixon, I think, is up on a new contract, though, so that'll be interesting if they can't replace Joe Mixon, because he's turned into an elite running back in the NFL.
Give Cincinnati a couple offensive linemen, and boy, do you got some trouble, because, he's getting hit so much back there, but he's still making plays.
People love Jamar Chase right now, but remember a Chase last year, it was Chase Claypool, and he's done Jack Diddley this year for the Steelers. So the sophomore year is kind of where you figure it out. Is this guy going to be legitimate, or is he going to be just a flash in the pan? Because the eye in the sky never lies. Just ask Bill Belichick, your greatest coach of all time, Trey.
Not even close.
It is, because whenever that dude gets burned to the stake for being the witchcraft warrior he is for the last 20 years.
Listen, I'm a Dolphins fan. I don't like him, but it is what it is. He is the greatest.
Go watch, if you have what's it called, Hulu. Go watch Dark Side of Football, and pick the Belichick episode. I'm a Belichick fan, but after that, I was like, this guy's going to hell.
Also, hey Donnie, if you can get a confirmation on if that or wasn't.
He's still heartbroken over that.
I'm using the phone right now, but I'll text.
Dude,
I'll
that'd
text
be
and find
awesome
out.
if it is.
A-Rod said, Lane Road says, A-Rod, we're getting Aaron Rodgers.
No. No.
Browns fans need to bring back Deshaun Kaiser.
There we go.
Oh my god.
The shoestring tackle in Indy may be the most underrated moment.
Yeah,
For sure.
listen,
That's a great moment.
I have that picture in one of my offices. The shoestring tackle. It's crazy.
It was a great play.
If he doesn't make that, what happens, right?
I don't know, because there was a lot of guys there.
Yeah.
And he stopped them just enough. But I'm not sure that he can outrace a Santonio Holmes or it wasn't Santonio Holmes at that point. It was Hines Ward,
Mike Wallace,
Randall
I'll say
L.
Mike Wallace.
I don't think we had Mike Wallace yet.
Yeah, you had Mike Wallace then.
In Super Bowl 40?
Maybe
43?
not. Maybe not.
No, we didn't even have him in 43. We had him in the when we lost to Green Bay.
You may have had. Would Sanders been there? Emmanuel?
Oh, Emmanuel Sanders, who I'm thinking of, not Wallace.
Real talk, DJ. Do you think Steelers?
They both
straight
were
up to draft
11,
a
so.
QB? I don't think they need to. They're
got
gonna
other
pick what
issues
around
before
16,
quarterback,
17,
right?
something like that. That's not awful. And
What happens if Kenny Pickett falls? Are you going to take him at 16? Because I would.
yeah, I would.
I think they're in a perfect spot. If the quarterback falls, you take him. If not,
He's going to get hot around draft. I don't see him making it to 16, 17. There's so many.
I hate saying this
Especially
because
if
this is where we
Matt
got
Corral getting
Mason
hurt.
Rudolph. I think you could hold off to a third round this year on quarterbacks because there's
I
no
don't.
good quarterbacks.
there's
No franchise breaking quarterbacks that are going to make or break your franchise. All the quarterbacks are going to move around the league this year.
But doesn't that mean you're just getting like D-list in round 3?
Like Mason Rudolph.
Wasn't there
Yeah.
a rumor that they were going to try to talk Phillip Rivers into coming out of retirement?
Steelers?
That would be the
That'd be
worst
interesting.
thing.
I would
possible.
be,
DJ would love that.
I would.
He's getting his jersey day one.
I'm getting so pissed right now, even thinking about this. I hate that guy. He can have his 38 kids and stay the hell out in California and coach football. Stay the hell away from Heinz Field.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
I hate that guy.
Brian Leaf's coming.
I take Leaf over Phillip Rivers right now. I would. As long as he brings his wife. That's
I heard
the only-
Manziel.
Money
Yeah.
Manziel.
I
Here's the
heard
deal.
Money Manziel.
Here's the deal, too, though. We got to think about this. Like a Russell Wilson, like a Drew Brees, somebody like that. Like small quarterbacks will not make it in the North, AFC North. Small quarterbacks will definitely not do that.
What do you mean the small quarterbacks won't make it the AFC North?
Small quarterbacks will not make it. Ben Roethlisberger, what's his size?
6'4", 240.
Okay, what's Joe Burrow's size?
Tackle.
What is he, 6'5", 6'4"?
Uh-huh.
But he's not 240.
It doesn't matter. I'm saying like short quarterbacks won't make it because they get beat up and you got to be able to throw over the
I'm
top.
going to tell you something, and I've said this on this show before. If Baker Mayfield comes available and the Steelers don't make a run at him, I'm going to be mad.
What?
Whoa, why?
Dude, you know Baker, if he leaves the Browns, is going to beat the Browns and win a Super Bowl somewhere else. You just know it.
Dude,
He's going to be Drew Brees 2.0.
He is made to be the face of a franchise. Cleveland does not want him
tell
to
you
be
what.
the face of a franchise.
I'll tell you what I'd do right now. I would send him to Jacksonville for Trevor Lawrence and a pick.
Oh, would you?
Yes, I would.
I bet you would. So would I. Oh, Trevor Lawrence. Hey, do you want it in Jacksonville? Here's a cookie. No, dude, come on. Like, Baker Mayfield is not a bad quarterback. He's not. He's in a bad situation. He's now the heel for all you wrestling fans out there. The crowd doesn't like him because he's not the guy he was last year.
But if you're injured, don't play. Don't play.
I said that.
Not
I'm with you.
You're talking to, like, listen, this dude on my jersey had his nose broken mid-game and still out there slinging tutties. Like,
Yeah, because he's accurate. Baker can't. Baker's throwing. When he threw 4 picks last week, he was throwing the ball behind and in front of every receiver. It was so stupid to
He
watch.
can't throw a corner route.
If Baker beats the Steelers or the Ravens, he is a Cleveland Jesus for all of you right now. For all of you. I don't care because this game
There's
doesn't
no way we
matter
win
to the
tonight.
Steelers. It's just Cleveland, I'm going to say it, and Pittsburgh very much the same way. So I'm not going to do any disservice to Cleveland. Cleveland, they're so front runner for their own damn football team. Like, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You guys hate your team if you're not going to the playoffs. You spent 20-some years not going to the playoffs.
That's exactly why we hate our team.
You go 1 year, and everybody thinks that you deserve to be there for 20 years. That's not the way it works. Like, your players have to play. Same with Steelers. Mike Tomlin, everybody sits there and pats Mike Tomlin on the back about how he's never had a losing season. He's had one championship run, and another time he got there. But his players and Kevin Colbert's players aren't cutting the mustard right now. They're not. Think about the only players that you would take on the Steelers roster right now. It's a handful. And one of them's TJ Watt, Ben Roethlisberger. People wouldn't take Cam Hayward for some ungodly
Oh my God,
Deontay.
I would take Cam Hayward
Oh,
now.
I'll take him.
If you're not an Ohio State fan, would you take Cam Hayward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He is massive.
Okay.
That play that he made against Herbert a couple weeks ago
It
on
was awesome.
Sunday night was insane.
Steelers need a tall QB, and Desmond Ridder is an athlete. If he can develop better as a pass, I've never even heard of this guy. Now I'm not a college football guy.
Cincinnati.
I'm not gonna pretend that I heard of Ben Roethlisberger prior to the NFL draft because he came from Miami.
You tell me you didn't watch a lot of Miami games?
Yeah, believe it or not, in 2003, it wasn't readily available on ESPN Plus. But big physical guys usually work out in Pittsburgh. That's just how it is. Big, like, call them fat, call them chunky, call them whatever you want. They usually work out because, hey, when it's December 28th and you're playing against the Ravens and it's a beat 'em up, winner take all game, you need that guy that's going to be able to take some hits. You know.
So you want Baker? Why?
Exactly.
I think Baker Mayfield is a gamer. I think he is a. What is he? 6'1", something like that. I think
he's lucky to be 6 foot.
Okay, so he's a 6 foot tall quarterback leader that plays like he's 6'5". He plays like he is an offensive lineman minded quarterback, which I love. Love Baker Mayfield. Love him. If he had a Steelers jersey on, I would probably go after him and try to court his marriage. Like that's how I like, and he does everything right off the field. You know, you never see him in bad scenarios.
Now he does.
His wife.
Listen, man, you can control what you can control, and it's 2022. You can't control your wife, just like she can't control him. So, from my perspective, Cleveland's just not the spot for him. And fans did, as they always do in Cleveland, turn on their guy, LeBron James. That's all I got to say.
He's going
LeBron
to Denver.
James. Now, if Baker goes away to Pittsburgh and wins 3 Super Bowls and then comes back to Cleveland, they'll freaking love him again. They'll bow down and be that guy. Like that, for some reason, you guys are the most forgiving franchise in the world when it comes to like break our hearts, but come back to us and you know we'll show you a good time.
And then break our hearts again.
Baker will leave again, win another Super Bowl. Hey,
I'm not turning on Baker. I'm just saying Baker it's not a fit for him in Cleveland. It's not, and it's not his. It may not be his fault because maybe some of the play calling, some of the schemes and stuff, but it just right now he is not like he is trying to. You say he's a gamer, but I think he's trying to do too much. He's forcing. And that's why the balls are being thrown behind and everything. He's holding on to the ball too long. Like it's just so different watching this guy. You know, when he came in for Tyrod Taylor against who was it, the Jets on that Thursday night game, the city loved him. Okay, but true colors come out, and when you are a prima donna around town and you're making all these commercials and you know First Energy Stadium is your house or whatever. Okay, when First Energy Stadium is your house, you should have more wins than Ben Roethlisberger in your house. You know what I mean?
Listen, hey, you guys, everybody loved whenever those progressive commercials came out because Cleveland was in the limelight. They were tired of seeing Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Heaven forbid Ben Roethlisberger gets a commercial because Cleveland will burn itself to the ground. Like,
has he ever?
No. No, and that's not his. That's not his. Listen,
there you go. Has he won Super Bowls?
There are other reasons.
Roethlisberger is not a good-looking human, and that's why he fits in Pittsburgh. Like it is our kind of guy.
What are you saying about the people in Pittsburgh?
I'm just saying. I married a Pittsburgh girl, and she's the most beautiful woman ever.
There you go.
But it's not every day you see the good-looking folks here in the Northeast. But I will say this. I think this is the last game that matters for a while in Pittsburgh. I think this is going to be it. I think that if Chris Sigler, and he's usually right because he's got that calm-minded personality, unlike myself, the Mason era will begin next year. We'll go 5 and whatever it is, 12, or 6 and 12, whatever the hell, how many games we're playing nowadays. And the Steelers will be looking next year for a quarterback. That's the way I think Sigler is thinking. I can't argue with that. Like taking a losing year to go get a quality quarterback instead of trying to rush somebody into the process. I'd love to have Kenny Pickett. I'd love to have Baker Mayfield. I'd really love to have a Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. But you're just going to go through this in another couple of years, is losing a franchise quarterback. I firmly believe that Ben Roethlisberger is the last living franchise quarterback on the face of the earth in the next 10 years. I really do. You're not going to see very many other ones. I mean, Russell Wilson's already being talked out of Seattle. Aaron Rodgers is being talked out of Green Bay.
I think Mahomes. I think you're selling Mahomes short a little bit.
I think they'll trade Mahomes.
You think they'll trade Mahomes?
I do.
What? Why?
Who? Who would? Who?
I think they will. I think they'll pull the trigger on Mahomes while they can still get value for it. And I'm not saying it's done, but I'm saying 2, 3, 4 years down the road, you trade Patrick Mahomes and you get a high first-round draft pick. I don't
see him ever leaving.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Justin Herbert has solidified himself pretty good in L.A.
Sure.
Also,
Absolutely.
with the another issue with Mahomes is how you're going to work around that contract. I mean, that contract, even 4
Same
years
way
down.
Giancarlo Stanton gets his contract worked around.
Well, there's a difference though because there's a cap hit in the NFL. MLB is just like free money. Like there's no ceiling.
You telling me the New York Giants wouldn't sell their entire franchise to have Patrick Mahomes right now?
I don't know. I don't think the Chiefs will let go of him. So no,
well,
I don't think.
Listen.
Listen, the Giants couldn't sell their stadium. The Giants couldn't sell their stadium for Mahomes.
As the great living legend, the $1 Million Man, once said, everyone has a price. And Patrick Mahomes, if you make a sweet deal to the Kansas City Chiefs, if they can start all over and have a Patrick Mahomes from 2-3 years ago and start all over with that and be that team still, okay, I think they'd agree to that. I really do.
I got one for you, Deej.
The Bengals.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
10 years from now, who's going to have the better career? Mahomes, Burrow, or Herbert?
Burrow.
You think? Because of his nucleus now?
Because he is going to be able to win AFC North championships almost without trying. By himself. He is going to be he proved it yesterday. He's the guy. He is the guy. Yes, he has Jamar Chase, but again, I don't think Jamar Chase is going to be an elite wide receiver in this league. I think he's going to be an above average receiver, but I think Joe Burrow is going to attract people to come play with him.
Do you think he's arrogant?
Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
No. I think he's fun.
I think he's fun. I think I might be rooting for the Bengals the rest of the season.
Sure, I think that's where I'm going to lay. I mean, ultimately, I want to be right, and I picked the Rams to win it all. But if I'm being a fan, I'm going to watch every Cincinnati Bengals game there is.
Don, you know who he was throwing to at LSU?
Yeah, Jefferson and Chase.
I don't think people understand that. I mean, those two dudes are studs.
Burrow won't have the most successful career because outside of these receivers that he already has, which were all acquired through the draft, no free agents going to Cincinnati. I don't care how much you win. You're not going to Cincinnati. There. No shot. No
Is that like
shot.
whenever somebody said nobody's ever going to go to Cleveland to play basketball?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
people
LeBron
go
did,
where
but he's
Joey's
from
at.
there. Kyrie was drafted there. Kevin Love was traded there. Nobody really came there in free agency.
I just think it's going to be fun.
They were acquired.
Didn't Dwayne Wade play for the Cavs?
Yeah, one and done.
For like
Didn't
a
Shaq
month.
play for the Cavs?
For like a month.
Shaq was like walking out in a walker.
I mean, like the good team was just all that we acquired everybody
What's
except
so
for
bad?
LeBron.
Tell me what's bad about Cincinnati. You only have to play in bad weather for like a month and a half.
They don't have an indoor practice facility. That's one.
And you don't think that'll change?
Not in the foreseeable. I mean, their owner is like the worst owner in the NFL. Like until he's gone, I mean, I don't see. And it's like Burrow said, the reason that none of them are getting COVID is because there's no nightlife in Cincinnati. He was dead serious about that. There's nothing to do in Cincinnati
except play football and win AFC North championship.
That's not enough for a lot of free agents. That's not enough.
Just because you're a Miami fan and think that the world revolves around.
I've been through
Latino
enough pain
heat.
with Miami. Okay.
What's that?
I've been through enough pain with Miami, but listen,
Tua your guy?
No, he's not. He's not
No.
anybody's guy.
Man,
Okay.
his
We gotta
throwing
wrap
motion
this
is
show up.
terrible.
We're in overtime right now. Let's get to our paid segment, which is the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? As soon as I find it, there it is. Leave it to the young buck to put us over time here at 107 because he wants to talk about Browns and Steelers and the Dolphins of all teams. Trey, why don't you lead us off in the spark? What's your spark to start 2022?
You know, we touched on it earlier, but I'm going to go with Ohio State winning the Rose Bowl. It was a nice end of the year. It eased my mind after the disappointing loss at the end of the season. And we won more bowl games than Michigan. So, point Ohio State.
Amo, you're up.
Happy to be back. Calling United Tuesday and Friday. And I'm with Chris Sigler, the new A team's in town Tuesday for United Columbiana. But on a serious note, I told people to watch out for Marvin Harrison Jr. Dude's going to be good. Ohio State's not losing anything next year other than defense, but are they really losing anything?
Yeah, that's a shame they're losing all that defense.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Don Riccatelli, the Don Father.
Oh man, I tell you what, two positive sparks. The first positive spark is last week I got to call a boys basketball game with Jason Treveri and DJ Yoakley, and I had so much fun during that game. Even though it was a loss for the Spartans, man, I had so much fun calling a game with you. You're like the goat of goats, number one. And number two, positive spark. I don't know if it's a positive spark yet, but there's nobody to call the Jackson Milton Boardman girls game tonight, and I raised my hand to do it. So I'm going to be calling that game tonight, and it's going to be different because my daughter's going to be playing. So I got to really bite my tongue and say a couple prayers for me that I don't let anything slip.
I have one tip for you, and that's it.
What's that?
It's pronounced Riccatelli.
Riccatelli. Listen, if I had $1 for every time somebody has said my last name weird, but you know what? It's okay.
We shouldn't do it anymore, Donnie. You are one of us. And the other day, I'm listening, and I forget who said it. I heard Riccatelli, and I was like, no, man, no.
It's okay. It's all right. Because listen, when somebody does that, I get about 8 text messages. Don't you call games for YSN? I'm like, yeah. Well, whoever's working for YSN right now is butchering your daughter's name. They're calling her Sam Double. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the old roster. Oh, yeah, okay.
It's pronounced.
I love it. EB, I can't wait. That's another thing too. I can't wait to call Kylie playing tonight too. Kylie and Mackenzie both playing together. You know, it's gonna be fun because they played for the last couple of years with EB on the Lakers, and we all know what a special talent Kylie Wilson is, who is going to be my nomination for a Big Dog of the Valley again, no doubt, because she's an amazing person. But yeah, I mean, look, you know, Boardman's 1-8. They just lost a double overtime game to Uniontown Lake, and my poor daughter played all 40 minutes, was exhausted, beat up, and she's looking for another opportunity before we go see Canfield on Wednesday. So
Well, congratulations. That's
Yeah.
tough work for Ken's Risatelli to put 40 minutes together. So we appreciate her hard work and dedication. My positive spark is going to be, I don't know if you guys got to see it over the break. I think it was like the 23rd that we did it. So it was the first day that we broke the Salem. It was a basketball Christmas party. They invited me to come to. EB was the guy that really led this from the YSN standpoint. Said, "Hey, do you want to break the internet? Come watch this." Something I've always wanted to do is when a father or a son or a boyfriend or a husband comes back from the military to surprise their significant other or part of their family. That happened with Krista Barley, and everybody was in on it, seemingly on the Salem basketball team, except for her, and we set her up pretty good. It turned out to be a really good story, but I'm just I got to think about it through, we all did games up through Christmas and through the New Year. I'm just so happy that YSN exists. I don't care that it's mine. It's ours, right? It's ours. That's the way it's always been. It's ours. And the relationships that we build, it's great that we call these games, and it's great but the relationships that we build through this platform are those that have changed my life forever. And I'm so incredibly honored. The three of you that are on this show right now, the ones that come in every day, and we're doing this series called My Sports Network Is. And I'm sure you guys have seen it, the vignettes coming out. And I'm so honored to be able to share this with the world. And we're all honored to be able to share this with each other, because we have made a much bigger impact than I even thought ever possible in 4 years. And it's shows like this, it's shows like Running Point, shows like the Casual Sports Podcast, and of course it's the games that we do, the interviews that we do that make it so special. So everybody out there, and I mean this with my whole heart, not just because it's around Christmas time, around New Year's, this has been something that's in my heart for a long time. And I feel like everybody's starting to figure out that it's a very cool thing that they can utilize for their own benefit or the benefit of their families and friends. So thank you for making YSN what it is. I cannot tell you enough how grateful I am for just to be a part of it. And it's just an honor. It's just exciting, to see things like that happen, whether they're sports related or not. If it's about a team or leadership or something around a game, that is YSN and why we're around. So a tip of the cap to all of you. Thank you so much. Thanks for putting up with us an extra 12 minutes here. Donnie, I know you got to go. So I just thank everybody for being a part. I'm happy that Power Hour is back for good, and we will see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock on our normal time slot right here on your sports network. Until next time, that's going to do it for the boys. We'll see you guys on the way out, 3 o'clock tomorrow right here on YSN. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation.